Hello, Scorpios. Welcome to your reading for the second half of April 2019. I just want to start really quickly. I'll go ahead and start shuffling the deck. But I just want to go through some really basic intro stuff here at the top of the reading. This is a general reading. I think most people who are watching the tarot readings on YouTube know what that means, but in case you don't, basically this means I'm not able to read for every single Scorpio in every single video. So this video may or may not resonate with you. If this video does not seem to resonate with you, you can look at your rising sign reading. Also, you can look at your moon and Venus sign readings to see if those might be more aligned with your current energy and situation in your personal life. The other thing with general readings is that the energy can be either way, meaning I could in this reading be talking about how you feel about the romantic interest in your life, or I could be talking about how the romantic interest in your life feels about you. So as the reading progresses, just keep that in mind, that the energy is pretty fluid in terms of which way the energy is flowing from one person to the other in a general read. In a personal reading, those are much less fluid. It's easier to lock in when you're doing a personal reading for someone. But for the generals, just keep in mind that the energy can flow in both directions. I am going to start the reading today with this deck. I'll put information up about the deck on screen for you in case you're interested in learning more, and I'll also put links out to where you can purchase these if you want to pick up a set for yourself. I'm going to leave this card out mostly because I feel like I should. I will say I sat down to start the readings and I was going to actually start with the earth signs, and then I just got Scorpio just kept popping into my head. So you guys are going to kick off the April second half readings, and I'm just going to give these a couple of shuffles and then I think we'll be ready to go. So let's see the energy that we have coming through for Scorpio, second half of April 2019. Please show me information for Scorpio for the second half of April 2019. We have a huge group of cards that came out, so let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we'll start with these, and then as we go through, we will do some clarifying as we need to. First card out for you guys was actually Strength. And let's see. Get this to focus for you guys. It might be a little bit of a glare, sorry about that. So the Strength card came out upright. This could, the Strength represents Leo, so it could be about a Leo in your life. It doesn't have to be. I tell people not to get too caught up on the signs, again, because it's a general read. In a more specific personal reading, you could rely on that a little bit more. But this is really talking about, you know, courage and being bold and brave, feeling that you have a handle on things and that you're in control. This card also, for me, it's my card to represent compassion. So it could be that you are currently finding strength or finding the ability to gain control over your own life or situation through practicing compassion or having compassion towards someone else. Coming out next to that is the Queen of Pentacles, and that is upright. So the Queen of Pentacles, this is, you know, I sort of refer to her as the idealized wife, the idealized domestic partner. So the Queen of Pentacles, she's very nurturing. She could represent a working parent, or it's basically someone who, it's a feminine energy, but it does not have to be female, but it is someone who is good at making a home feel like a home. And this person is someone that family is very important to them. This is not a queen who necessarily wants to have a lot of independence. This queen wants to focus on the needs of the family, keeping the people in her life that she cares about happy, making sure that they feel safe, making sure that they feel secure, making sure that life in general is stable. Now, next to this, we have the King of Wands, and I'll just show you guys both of these cards. The King of Wands is reversed. Let's see if we can get these to focus so you can see what I'm looking at. What's interesting here is that this reversal for the King of Wands, you know, if he had come out upright like this, you can see his back would be turned. But when we flip him upside down, it's as if they are facing each other. His gaze is actually going, it is directed towards her here. I just want to make note of that because the King of Wands, when he is reversed, this speaks to someone who would be considered someone who's not a good leader, not someone who is able to understand what's required for something to have a long-term success, for something to really be able to thrive and to be, for the passion that's involved in it to be able to sustain it. This reversal creates someone who has extremely high expectations and goals that are fairly unrealistic and too aggressive. This person is someone who would not be a very dependable person. So from this top line, if I'm just sort of looking at this as being potentially an introduction into the energy and an introduction into what the reading is likely going to talk about, I would say that, and again, you know, this does not have to be male and female, but think about how I described the Queen of Pentacles and this King of Wands reversed. I feel that whoever the Queen of Pentacles is, whether Scorpio, if you feel that's you or you feel that that is your partner, or you know the romantic interest that you're interested in specific to this reading, it would appear that this person is figuring out how to give a bit of compassion and understanding to this king. I'm really energetically from this queen. It feels like the way that this is coming across is that this person is realizing that a big test of their character, of how they feel they are and how they want to be seen by other people. A big test of that is how they deal with situations that are very challenging or come with large amounts of upheaval or emotional distress. And I feel that a decision has been made to try to provide compassion for this person, because this queen sees the potential. This queen understands what will happen when this king goes upright. And the more feminine energy here has decided that the potential that she sees within this masculine energy, and again, doesn't mean male or female, but the potential that the queen sees within this masculine energy of what they could be, what they could become. The feminine energy has decided that it's through showing compassion and almost like a sense of nurturing or parenting in a way that, okay. So this is going to sound a little bit strange, but this is what I'm getting. It almost feels like this queen has realized that this king is in need of someone who, in a way, will be able to parent them. And I don't necessarily feel that as being like this person is immature or they're unable to take care of themselves. It's not that sort of, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels more like an approach, that the reason this king is unable to step into what he could potentially be and is showing up instead with this reversal, the reason for that is because they've had a situation which has happened to them which has made them become very self-critical, extremely self-critical, to the point almost of being mean, potentially cruel to themselves. This energy, the strength with the Queen of Pentacles, and then we'll move down. I just want to make sure that I'm setting this up properly. It feels like this Queen of Pentacles at this point is somewhat undecided about what she sees, you know, the feminine energy, what the feminine energy sees in this masculine. In the card, the Queen's gaze is fixed forward. And as I mentioned earlier with this king, his gaze is looking upwards towards this queen. I feel like this masculine energy is very captivated and enthralled by this queen and feels in a way that she is above him, someone who is, the king views as almost unattainable. It's an interesting dynamic here that through having this compassionate approach to this energy, which can be, you know, demanding and really aggressive and is not necessarily good at leading, that approach of displaying compassion and trying to give love, it's actually very intimidating for this king. It makes the queen appear very strong, and it's almost, the energy is almost like it sets up a situation where this king feels that this is some sort of like a struggle for power, or this king feels that the queen has an upper hand in a way. But the queen is actually coming from a good place. It's not about a power play. It's not about trying to maintain dominance. It's just, for this queen, this is more of a personal challenge. As I mentioned earlier, this queen is in a place where they're very aware of who they are and how they want to be. And this king represented a test for them to see if they truly were that way. If they would default to an approach of compassion. It's just created a very interesting situation between the two because of this perception of the King of Wands that's reversed about this queen having an upper hand. The next card that came out is the Knight of Wands. It's upright. So this card is, it's about passion and impulsiveness and speed and quickness. It is a card of action. It comes out next to the Hangman reverse. And I want to mention that card first. Because again, the energy here is honestly, it's pretty strange. So the Hangman in reverse, this is really about someone who's stalling. It is in a situation where someone is unable of how to make a decision, or is unable to upright. This card for me represents someone who's made a decision to just sort of chill out and just suspend everything for a period of time so that they can turn inward and listen to their intuition, contemplate, seek guidance. It's more of a pause before going back into action. When this card is reversed, it's an actual stalling or a hiding out. It's a fear of allowing whatever change or sacrifice needs to happen. There's a fear there from actually allowing it to happen. So I feel like these energies are, I feel like they're talking about the Queen and King, honestly. I feel like the Queen is represented here by the Knight of Wands. I feel like the Queen has decided that she's going to engage with this King. And she does it in a very quick and passionate manner. It almost seems that the Queen is making an attempt with this King of Wands to come in as the Knight of Wands energy and to try to remind this King of his adventurous side. And what's interesting is that coming in that way, it's further making this King feel like the Queen is up to something. That coming in with the speed and passion and intensity that she's doing, that she's showing towards him, it almost makes him feel even more insecure. Because again, he's looking upwards to her. And for someone who seems like they're sort of above you, or maybe even perceived as being like out of your league in a way, or sometimes someone can come into your life and you see them and you just you're absolutely drawn to them, and you feel like just the fact that they're in your life, just the fact that you've had this opportunity, the fact that you have had this chance to be in their presence, you're sort of amazed by this person. But if you're in a place where you're not feeling at your best, then that person becomes intimidating, and it feels more like their presence is it's overwhelming, and there's almost like a sense of embarrassment of you've shown up and here I am at my worst. I'm at my lowest. I'm not doing as well as I know I can, and I'm putting all this pressure on myself to try to figure out how to be better, but you're coming on so intensely, and you're pushing so much, and there's so much energy coming in that I'm just going to check out. This Hangman in reverse, I feel, is absolutely the King of Wands reverse. That's just saying, I don't know what to do here, so I'm not going to do anything. The next card that came out, it's a Five of Pentacles reversed. And this card is interesting because it's actually a good card in its reverse state. This is a recovery. typically from a financial loss, but it can also be a recovery of a disconnection from one's spiritual self or spiritual energy. I feel that this card is really representing the potential within this connection. I feel that the reason that these two people have sort of come into each other's lives and are sort of doing this dance around each other and are so curious and they're trying to figure out what to do and how to approach the other and how to deal with the other one. It really is, I think, this card is not necessarily talking about financial recovery. I think that this is talking about sort of an evolution or a boosting of their spiritual experience and their own spirituality and their own convictions about their spiritual faith. So I want to just pull some clarifying cards really quickly. I'm really interested in this Five of Pentacles that is reversed. So these cards are feeling very tense right now. I do, just in general, I will say the energy from these cards, it's tense is a good word for it. I don't sense any sort of like maliciousness. I don't sense any sort of, there's no bad really between these two, but they're in a way, it's almost like they're freaking each other out. And they're both taking an approach of trying to figure out what's the smartest way to deal with this person, what's the smartest way of interacting with this person. I feel like the Queen is much more open and receptive. The King, the more masculine energy, is they're on guard. They feel like they need to keep their eyes open and sort of be ready for, you know, some sort of sneak attack. And that's not anything that's actually here. So if you are resonating more with the King of Wands energy, the more masculine energy, just know that this Queen has no ulterior motives. There's no desire there to hurt or harm you. They really are coming from a place of wanting to try to help you sort of level up and be your best. For the Queen, if you're resonating more with that Queen energy, I would just say that I don't necessarily think that this is a bad person. I don't think that this person has any sort of like malicious intent or any desire to cause harm. But they are very intimidated and they are feeling very insecure. So just keep in mind that often when someone feels insecure and they're feeling intimidated, that causes a fear response. It's almost like, you know, they've been backed into a corner. So just be mindful of how much you are sort of coming in and how you're coming in. You know, if you have someone who's in a scared place, you kind of have to approach them with a very specific sort of energy so that you're not going to scare them even more. Two cards came out as clarifying energy on the Five of Pentacles reversed. The first is the Nine of Wands. It came out reversed. So the Nine of Wands in reverse, this talks about, it's interesting. It is talking about a defensive stance. It can represent paranoia. It's being overwhelmed and struggling. And I think that this clearly is picking up on the energy of this King. It came out with the Devil in reverse. Again, this could be Capricorn energy. Again, it doesn't have to be. I like to mention them when I'm thinking about it. Now this card, when it's in reverse, this really is a sign of release or almost like a sense of freedom. It can represent control being regained or restored, and that usually represents a healthy type of control. So, you know, it's not about a controlling energy as sometimes we talk about, but it's about something that felt out of control, something that felt like you couldn't figure out how to make it work, or how to make it be optimal, that you get control over that you understand it. I think that this again is just highlighting the, you know, that Five of Pentacles that's reversed, where I was saying it's this deepening of their spirituality, of their own sense of their spiritual self. This connection between these two people has a purpose. And it really is about releasing a lot of maybe karmic things that need to be dealt with, old fears, old pain, old suffering. It's this connection and how it plays out, what happens with it, whatever that may be. I'll just say that. I feel that as of right now, what's going to happen here, what ultimately this Queen and King, what they end up becoming even, or how they interact, or if they interact, as of right now, it feels that that's undecided. What's important from this is really that both of these people go through the process, go through the experience, and they see it through without trying to speed things up or control them or stop things. It's being willing to just feel their way through, and to realize that there's a higher reason for this connection. This connection has a purpose that is supported from above. Let's see if any other cards want to come out here. This deck, and again, I'll put information up about this deck, but this deck is, you can use as, you know, traditional tarot cards, but I use them more as oracle cards, just to give you guys some guidance on, you know, how to move forward, again, for the last half of April. So the first card that came out was Maturity, and then that came out with Adventure. And this is really interesting because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, I feel like this Queen is trying to appeal to this King's sense of adventure. And we'll talk about the card to wrap up. But so Maturity, I love these cards, by the way. I think that they are so, they're so artistic. I love them. So Maturity, this card, in terms of corresponding to a traditional tarot deck, would represent the Ace of Pentacles. And with having this Queen of Pentacles energy here, that makes total sense. This is really, this card represents a new opportunity. Typically it is related to financial or career. But what I'm getting from this card is really more about abundance in general. I think that part of what the Queen is hoping to get this King to understand is that, you know, part of having an abundant life, part of having a life that is, you know, where you can manifest what you want, and you can have abundance, and you begin to feel like there's possibilities open to you. That what's required to have that sort of experience is to have a sense of maturity, to really allow yourself to grow and bloom into sort of your best expression of yourself. Hey guys, sorry the camera cut out. I was just showing you guys this card. So there it is. So Adventure, this card talks about getting yourself back to a place where you have almost like a childlike, view of the world, where, if you think about children, everything to them is really a new adventure. They're constantly learning and exploring and trying to figure out the world and figure out themselves and learn new skills. And it's so much that they are feeling their way through. And if we can, as adults, connect back into that energy of seeing the world, instead of seeing it as being full of challenges and things that we have to overcome, if we can look at the world and see them, those things as being more adventures that we are going on, that we're trying to figure out, that we're trying to solve. And I'm really sorry, there's a bird outside that's just singing, and I'm sure the microphone will pick it up, so I apologize for that. But it really is, this card speaks to putting yourself back into that energy of being willing to view life as being an adventure, and being willing to put yourself out there in a way that sets you up to be excited about whatever comes your way, and excited about going out into the world and seeing where it takes you. And this energy, this approach of looking at life as being a grand adventure, that is absolutely required to ever get you to this place of abundance, this maturity card energy. So that we're going to stop there in terms of the general read. I'm actually not doing an extended read for this grouping of readings. I will start the extended reads on my Patreon page, beginning with the first readings for the first half of May. So this will be your general read for the last half of April. If you liked this, if it resonated with you, if there were things that absolutely, you had connections to it, I would love to hear that from you guys. Please leave, your comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you don't mind, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and be sure that you click the bell notification. That is going to give you updates when I post new videos, so that you know when those are up. And again, I would love to hear about what you thought about the reading in general. If there are any suggestions that you have in terms of how I can make the readings more entertaining or engaging for you guys, I would love to hear that. I really do want to create a channel where a community will begin to form, and I'm actually really looking forward to being able to have readings over time with you guys, and to sort of see how things evolve and how the energies start to flow. So I'm going to stop here, and I will see you Scorpios again at the end of the month with your May 1st through the 15th reading. Thanks a lot, Scorpios.